Looks like everybody's in the door so far that's going to come in. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to our first webinar of the event for Public Day We Can Still Dream. We really appreciate you coming today. We have 10 hours today and 10 hours tomorrow to transport you out of your living room, your office, your bedroom, wherever you are, and take you away somewhere exotic. So today for our first speaker, we have Sonja Newlands. Sonja is a specialist in Africa. She actually lives in South Africa, and but she prepares a lot of our tours, including my own family's bucket list trip to Tanzania. She does for our office all over various parts of the continent of Africa. So I am going to hand you over to Sonja's capable hands, and thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. Really appreciate and really honored to be the first webinar of your amazing 2 days you're hosting. Thank you everybody for joining us. We obviously based in South Africa, as Cheryl mentioned. I'm not going to carry on too much about who we are and what we are. I think what is important to know out there is that we have an extremely good relationship working with Deep Blue Adventures. Africa is not something that you want to book online. It is a logistical problem to understand the logistics behind the transfers, the distances, etc., etc. So we are here to support all the bookings with Deep Blue Adventures. Just to give you a little bit of insight is that obviously we offer not just the scuba diving side of Africa. Africa is so much more than just the scuba diving. You're not going to come to Africa and not do a big five safari. With the big five safaris, it is varied. You don't have to be in a vehicle. We do the walking safaris, there's trekking, you can do it by boat, there's all sorts of options. We do multiple countries. We're obviously based in South Africa. We do Mozambique, Tanzania, Uganda, gorilla tracking, a lot of the safaris in Botswana, Zambia, as well as Namibia. And those countries I'm going to very briefly touch on with you during this presentation. A lot of outdoor sport, a lot of our clients come out. They don't want to just dive. They also want to go and hike in the afternoons. So yeah, we can specialize and tailor make every single program specifically according to your specific needs. And then just to obviously show you, I'm based here in South Africa. We basically specialize on this East Coast. So going up into Mozambique, where we do various diving spots along the Mozambique coast. The islands off East Africa, Madagascar, Mauritius, Reunion, the Seychelles Islands, the islands of Tanzania, and then going up into Uganda, Rwanda for gorilla tracking. We do a little bit of safari stuff also in Malawi, Zambia, and Botswana, and Zimbabwe, predominantly for your big game, big five safaris and adventure canoeing and that. And then Namibia, adventure as well as some really amazing landscaping and that. So today I'm going to start off with the diving in South Africa, and we're going to move up on the diving destinations on Mozambique, Tanzania, and then I'm going to come back down and briefly touch on all the safaris, including the islands of the East Coast. So starting with South Africa, I'm going to start on the most southern point, which is Cape Town. Cape Town doesn't really offer a lot in terms of scuba diving. It is an area that is obviously well known for great whites. It's colder water diving. You guys from the US have got a lot of great white stuff right on your doorstep. So it's not something that a lot of the US clients do come to do while in Cape Town. However, if they are there, they do like to sometimes hop on and experience it. It is a cage experience, so it's not a dive as such. The diving that does take part in Cape Town, as I said, is cold water diving. You can also, there's kelp diving to see the penguins and all of that. Cape Town offers a lot more than obviously the diving side of things. Very well known for our amazing wine estates, really, really good wine estates and good red wines, white wines, and all of that. It's a beautiful city. So a lot of clients will either use Cape Town as an extension, or they won't cover it at all as part of the standard trip. A lot of our clients fly directly in onto this East Coast. This area here along what we call the garden route, again, there is diving, but it's nothing that we would really recommend and sell to somebody traveling all the way from the US. The good diving starts from this area around here. The very well-known Sardine Run takes around from around about this area here and then moves up. Sardine Run, I'm going to very briefly touch on that. It only happens 3 to sort of 5 weeks of the year from mid-June to mid-July. It's very difficult to say when the best time is. We normally recommend for our clients the last week in June and the first week in July to be sort of more a little bit on the safer side. It is a very difficult product to sell because there is no guarantee, but when you do hit it, it is one of the most phenomenal experiences for any diver. It is really, really good. If anybody in particular on this webinar now is interested on more info on the Sardine Run, please just ask Cheryl afterwards. I'm happy to set up a separate webinar for that and obviously touch more within more details with the Sardine Run. So then just moving up around here, we've got Protea Banks, very, very well known for shark diving. It is deeper diving. It is for advanced divers and experienced advanced divers because of strong currents and low visibility. Very good, very well known for big schools of hammerheads. Allawal Shoal, rated as one of the top 10 dive sites in the world. Lots of soft coral, hard coral, again, a big variety of sharks, very seasonal, summer sharks, winter sharks. A lot of our clients will spend sort of on a 3-night, 5-dive package in this area and then move up closer towards Sodwana Bay and this area here, Mabibi area. Sodwana is very well known and very popular with local South African divers. It can get busy at times. Personally, I prefer this little area just a little bit further up. You'll see that area that I've just highlighted now in that Mabibi area, you'll see it's just the most awesome, unspoiled coastline. If you look very carefully, that's the lodge within that area there. So there's no big skyscrapers. It is untouched. There's only 2 lodges in this area, which means one boat or the second lodge does have 2 boats, but there's literally 3 boats in the area. So when you step off this beach, there is literally nobody else around. The diving is good, it's pristine, and it's limited in that there is not 10,000 other boats around there. It really is a very special and a really, really beautiful area. Just to give you an idea, with the diving in South Africa, that is typically the boats that we use, 8-meter rubber ducks. You've got ropes to pull yourself on back onto the boat with obviously the skipper's help coming back onto the boat. And then, as I mentioned, obviously people don't just come to South Africa just for the diving. There's so much combination packages that goes on. We do a lot of the cultural stuff where a lot of our clients will bring clothing, stationery supplies for schools. We've painted churches, we've planted vegetable gardens, we've done a lot of community work. And then something that's very close to my heart is the protection of our rhinos. I'm sure you're very familiar with all the poaching going on for China, for the rhino horn, and these poor animals are getting killed for their horn. So we are very involved with a lot of the veterinary practitioners, and we get our clients to join in where you can measure, help with the whole procedure while the animal is down, and we actually then dehorn the bone in order for them then not to get poached. It's a procedure that needs to be repeated every year. So as you can imagine, every single game reserve has a massive task to control their rhino population. Just some fun activities with the fat bikes on the beach. Highest pop in Africa. You can either hike or drive it. Obviously, all along our coastline, we've got turtles coming to lay eggs. It's a really wonderful activity, especially for younger children and that, to actually start learning about the ocean. Then if you're into some really crazy adventure stuff, we've got a lot of that going on, say with the diving with the crocodiles, paddling with the penguins in Cape Town, and of course, as I mentioned, hiking being an extremely popular activity of late that we find with a lot of our diving groups. We move up, as I said, we're going to go up on the east coast of Africa with regards to Mozambique. Mozambique is got a massive long coastline. So when you're coming from the South African side, just over the border, right down at the bottom here, you've got the likes of Ponta de Ora, again, very, very popular with local divers and local holiday makers. When you go just a little bit up from Ponta de Ora, which is called Ponta Mamoli, there's a really beautiful lodge that we like to use called White Pulls. It is really an absolutely stunning property, and the diving is amazing. Loads of soft coral, plus you've still got all your big stuff coming in, your turtles, your rays, your dolphins, etc., etc. Really, really good product. Going up, Barra Beach, Tofu Beach, it's very popular. There's a couple of lodges around this area. Again, some really amazing dive sites within this area. Going further up north, Vilanculos, Banguera, Bazaruta Island. They are good diving. They're stunning islands. There's some really amazing lodges on those islands and that. I'm not the biggest fan of the diving in that area. It is busy. It is very touristy. And I just think Mozambique has so much more to offer in the likes of Barra and Tofu Beach, and then also going right up north into the Kariba archipelago, just before Tanzania here. There's a couple of islands off here, Matimo, Majumbi, but Kwalaleya is just, it's within a nature reserve. It is absolutely stunning. It really is one of the most best dive spots within Mozambique. Over here, you can see that White Pearl Resort that I was talking about just over the border as you come into Mozambique. Again, as you can see, it's really eco-friendly. You can hardly, you know, it's not a big skyscraper, and you got really amazing beaches to explore on, and obviously the diving is really good. Sort of a very much a barefoot luxury upmarket feel to the lodge, and stunning. The food is absolutely amazing. Going further up in northern in Mozambique, the dugongs, they're quite difficult to spot, but we do see them from time to time, and yeah, really, really amazing to obviously see them. I wanted to play you a video of Kwalaleya, but I see this is not working. I don't know if Kerry and Cheryl can do their magic, if they can hear me.
I can hear you. What's up?
I can hear you, Sonja. She's trying to play your video.
Just this video is not playing for me. I don't know if Kerry can have access to it.
I don't. It doesn't look like a video. It looks more like an image, but
no, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Sonja, are you on share? Sonja, are you on share screen or share PowerPoint?
Share screen.
Oh, well then it should be working.
It should do. Listen, not serious. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to move on. Don't worry about it. Absolutely fine.
Okay.
Don't stress.
We can, if you want to send it to us at another time, we'll download it and get it on,
yes.
on YouTube, and they can click that.
Absolutely perfect. That's fine. I'll just continue talking about it. Thanks, Cheryl. So this is Kwalaleya Island, which is one of my absolute best dive areas in Mozambique. As I said, it's almost right on the top of the by the Tanzanian border. It is a national marine reserve, and the diving is pristine. It is absolutely really, really worth visiting and saving up because it is a high-end product because of the exclusiveness of it and logistically getting there. But it is really, it's one of the best dive spots within Mozambique.
Sonja, we've got one comment. Maybe it's because you've got the laser pointer on. Do you know how to go back to the regular pointer to try it?
Yeah, I can do that.
If you use the mouse click instead of the pointer, that your video should play. I don't know.
Let's just go out of that, sorry.
Thank you, Mike, for the tip.
Oh, wait, it won't bring up my... So go out of the pointer, hey? Oh. No?
You've got a little, when you hover over it in the bottom left, you have a little, yeah, let's see, will it play?
No.
Okay. All right, guys, we'll get you a link to her video and we'll get it up on our website and on our YouTube channel as well.
Perfect, thank you. Right, we move on. We go up from Mozambique into Tanzania. I just need to get my little pointer back here. So with Tanzania, you've got 3 dive destinations off the coast of Tanzania. You've got Zanzibar, you've got Mafia Island, and you've got Pemba Island. Out of the 3, I would not recommend Zanzibar Island for somebody all the way from the US to come and dive it. If you're there on holiday, you're having a beach holiday and you want to do a couple of dives, absolutely brilliant. It is good, but I won't be selling you a 10 dive package. However, Pemba Island and Mafia Island, completely different and really, really good diving. Especially Mafia Island, that area is very well known for whale sharks coming in season. It is a protected marine reserve. So out of the 3 islands off Tanzania, I would definitely recommend the Mafia Island. A lot of our clients combine these islands with the very well-known Serengeti safari. So you would either fly into Dar es Salaam or you fly into Arusha, you go and do your diving, and then you obviously continue on with your Serengeti migration. Tanzania has various game reserves, but the most popular is this northern circuit where you fly into Ngorongoro area, you then go and do the Serengeti migration, and you come back to Arusha. A lot of our clients also come to obviously climb Kilimanjaro. They then go and do their dives, and then they finish off with their safari. Tanzania is a very, very interesting country, especially from a cultural point of view. It really just has so much to offer. I want to just very briefly touch on the Serengeti migration, because National Geographic is obviously always only focused on this sort of June period where you see all the thousands of wildebeest and that crossing over the Mara River and going into the Kenyan side of it. But strictly speaking, the migration actually takes part the whole entire year. They just keep moving. So when you book your migration, it is very important to work through somebody that obviously knows the pattern and very cleverly then choose your lodges within that area to be able to see the masses. And what you see in this picture with the zebra and the wildebeest, that is exactly what you will see in the Serengeti, just absolutely thousands and thousands of wildlife all the time. Down in the crater, always fascinating. It is almost like literally going to a zoo, and there's just so much to see, and yet there's absolutely no fences whatsoever in Tanzania. So just obviously very quickly covered on those. As I mentioned, sorry, this slide, obviously I would jump ahead a little bit with just the islands of Tanzania. But there you can see the Mafia Island and you can see Pemba Island. This picture here that you see with the underwater room, that is a picture that's quite famous. It does a lot of rounds on Facebook and all media. That is obviously a resort up in Pemba Island, and people you have to stay for 2 nights minimum, but you literally have this underwater room. Really awesome experience and just something completely different. As I mentioned, we also do the islands off Africa. I've already covered the Mozambique Islands and I've already covered the Tanzanian Islands. We do bookings for Madagascar up in this northern Nosy Be area, exceptionally good diving, very good diving. Comores used to be open, and then due to political problems in that, we pulled Comores off our books. Mayotte recently have started gaining a lot more interest. I'm hoping, depending on COVID, it was meant to be this year, but hoping to reschedule for next year, just to go back and explore the lodges and that in this area, and just making sure that it is up to the standards that we used to for our clients. On the outer islands, Mauritius, we don't obviously sell really as a diving destination. There's not enough reef and that to really warrant a big trip. Reunion Island, very interesting island as well, active volcano, very French, and some awesome diving there as well. But the islands that I really want to focus on for today is the Seychelles. So the Seychelles have got the inner islands and you've got the outer islands. The inner islands, again, it's nice for if you're on a beach holiday and you want to do a couple of dives. The diving is good. However, the most incredible, amazing, best diving off Africa is within these outer islands. If you've watched Jacques Cousteau's movie with that very, the wall, that was actually filmed on a stove island. Estove, Cosmolido, and Alphonse just offers absolutely incredible diving. It really is something very spectacular. Again, this is supposed to be just a little video on the islands and the atolls, but I'm going to leave that and hopefully maybe we can just touch on it later on. Just to also let you know that this is a logistical product. From Africa, you need to fly into Mahé, you need to overnight, and then it's another 1.5-hour flight out to Alphonse. Right, we move on. I'm going to very briefly cover on some of the Uganda and Rwanda safaris. There you go. So a lot of our diving clients, they're in Africa and it's a bucket list trip to combine gorilla tracking with their diving safaris. We can quite easily do it. And there's 2 countries, obviously Uganda and Rwanda. The only difference between the 2 really is that with Rwanda, it's a lot quicker. You can be in and out within a 2 to 3 day trip. You fly into Kigali, we'll get you up to the national park, you do your trek, and either late that afternoon or the following day, you can be out of there. Uganda, on the other hand, you fly into Kampala, but you've got quite a fair distance to get down into the park. Rwanda gorilla permits are double the price. They're $1,500 US for a gorilla permit to track for 1 hour for 1 day, whereas the Uganda permits are $750, so it's half the price literally for the track. With Uganda, if you've got 3 to 5 days, you then fly into Kampala, you get down to the park to do your trek. You can go up to Queen Elizabeth National Park to do your Big 5 safari. You then can go up to Kibale Forest to do your chimp tracking. Some clients then also goes up into Murchison Falls to complete their safari there and then fly back onto Kampala. Just to give you a little bit of information, the gorilla tracking honestly is one of the best things I've ever done in my life. To see these beautiful creatures so close to you, and to sit and watch them, the way they behave for an hour, is just the most phenomenal experience. It is worth the dollars that you pay for it. It really is a bucket list trip that is really worthwhile. As I mentioned, up in by the falls, you then go onto these little boats to also, you know, continue your safari. So you're not just in a vehicle, but you also can do the boat safaris. Uganda and Rwanda have just got the most beautiful people, amazing cultural experience, lots of interesting beliefs, and as you can see, these lady carrying the pots and that for water, absolutely incredible. And then that's obviously Murchison Falls. We move on. I'm going to very briefly touch on Malawi. Little country stuck in between all the safari places. You fly into Lilongwe or into Blantyre. A really amazing game viewing all along here. The lake, however, being freshwater lake, does offer these incredible little islands in the middle of the lake. The two most popular ones, they are absolutely beautiful. You can see these the rooms situated right on top of the rocks here, and this is called Mambo Island, but that's the rooms that are sort of just in this area here of this little island. Again, combined with your game viewing and that. But the reason why a lot of divers come to the lake here is to see these little guys, where you can only find them in Lake Malawi. They are nowhere else to be found. So a lot of our divers who've got that list that they're ticking on their fish life specifically want to go to Malawi to go and dive and snorkel to obviously identify these little guys. And again, Malawi, you can obviously combine that with your Big Five safari. Very briefly as well, I'm going to just touch on both Zambia and Botswana. With Zambia, very popular, as you can see, loads of national parks, and that it pretty much is your Big Five safari, and of course people coming into Vic Falls to see the Victoria Falls, which is this picture down at the bottom. If you go onto YouTube at the moment, you'll see that the falls has got the most water it's had in many years, and there's some really incredible video footage of the falls at the moment. Quite an experience, and there's lots of adventure activities within the Vic Falls area. Just to explain, with Botswana, we term it a wet safari and a dry safari. So the wet safaris, you can in the Delta go on these little dhow boats with your guide. If you like the adrenaline type of safaris, that's definitely for you. Or you can take the easy way out and then obviously do more the land safaris, what we call the dry safaris, and the vehicles and that. With Botswana, if you have a look here, and I'm going to come to Namibia presentation shortly. If you have a look, if you're doing, a lot of our clients are doing safaris in Namibia or a tour in Namibia, they then cross over into this little area here, which is called the Caprivi Strip. And this is where a lot of these safaris, boat safaris, also take place. They finish off in Kasane, and then it's a very easy little hop to Chobe and the Okavango Delta. This is by far the most popular areas within Botswana for safaris. Just something to touch on with regards to just exchange rate while I'm at it. With South African rand against the dollar, the Namibian dollar is very similar to the rand against the US dollar. You're really getting a very good value for your money because our rand is so weak. It's been sitting on around about 14 rand to 1 euro. Currently, with our current situation, it's sitting on 18 rand plus to the US dollar. So to put it into comparison for you, if you go out to a high-end hotel or pub here, you'll be paying equivalent of about $1 for a beer. So really good value for money. Botswana, on the other hand, and that's why I'm bringing up the exchange rate, is based on US dollars. And these camps do tend to all be sort of very from good 3 stars, mostly 4 stars to 5 stars, and you are paying top dollars for those safaris, but the experiences are amazing. Then touching base on just Namibia for you very briefly. Namibia is a very, very big country. You fly into Windhoek, and our most popular trips are for clients, if you are interested to get down to Fish River Canyon. This distance is very big, and all the distances in Namibia is like that. We always try and recommend for clients to rather go with the small charter planes. It doesn't add a massive amount to the package price, but just from a convenience point of view, sitting in vehicles for hours and hours and hours, often in very hot conditions and very dry desert conditions. So a beautiful country, but don't get caught up in driving very, very long distances. It might say that it's only 200 kilometers, but it will take you 5 to 6 hours to drive those 200 kilometers. So from Fish River Canyon, the most popular destination is Sossusvlei. I'm going to show you some pictures in the next slide, which is those very beautiful red dune landscape pictures that I'm sure a lot of you would have seen if you've looked at any pictures of Namibia. Going up on this coast, what they call obviously the skeleton coast, and that there's some really unbelievable nature, eco-friendly lodges up here. In fact, there's a really stunning lodge, which I'll show you a picture of now. The Skeleton Coast Lodge, as well as the Fish River Canyon Lodge, are actually both owned by the Rockefeller family. From there, Etosha National Park, extremely popular, obviously, again, because of the salt pans and going into your Big 5 safari. And then, as I mentioned on the previous slide, a lot of clients then finish off, they come along this little Caprivi strip, and they finish off at Vic Falls, coming into Botswana, into Chobe, or going onto the Delta. There you go. That's the lodge I was talking about. That's situated on the Skeleton Coast. It's literally on the beach. It's these beautifully designed, eco-friendly rooms that are stunning inside. Really, really amazing. This here is Dune 45. It's probably the most photographed dune in the world, and this is in Sossusvlei. And as you can see, you can obviously climb up onto that dune. From a landscaping point of view, photographer point of view, just amazing, absolutely incredible. Namibia, again, from a cultural point of view, from a photographer's point of view, these ladies are beautiful. They all got these really intricate, interesting head dress that's on there permanently. Very fascinating culture to follow and to obviously photograph and all of that. This is Sossusvlei, very well known, and here you can obviously see the Skeleton Coast, this blue water with literally the desert right next to it. So with that, it obviously offers a lot of adventure stuff, your sandboarding, hot air ballooning, quad biking, horse riding, all those adventure activities is offered in Namibia. Then a product which I absolutely love is this houseboat. In Namibia, and it literally goes in that little Caprivi strip that I was talking about into Botswana, into Namibia. Beautiful food, beautiful rooms. It's called the Zambezi Queen, and from here you then go onto your little boats. Often the boat stops into a certain area of the water is too low. You go onto your little boats and you go and do all your game viewing from there. Really superb product. I'm absolutely in love with it. It's gorgeous. Really good game viewing. One of the few places where you can sit with a gin and tonic in your left hand and watch the elephant on the riverbank. So that pretty much in a very rushed, very quick nutshell is what we as Africa Tours specialize in. As I said, people don't just come all the way to Africa just to dive. It's putting all those other elements into the dive packages that makes it such a special trip. So your safaris, the adventures, all the experiences that you want to. So we tailor make every single program for clients. We obviously got some standard suggested programs to give you an idea of what can be done logistically, but certainly we do tailor make for most of our clients according to specific interest and obviously budget. And that is all from my side. Perhaps we can try and see if we can do that video, Cheryl, if that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. If you wanted to, maybe if you're on share screen instead of, maybe it's because it's inside the PDF, do you maybe have that video on your computer away from the PDF? I'm wondering if it's something to do with Zoom doesn't like the link inside, sorry, inside your PowerPoint. I'm wondering if you get out of the PowerPoint, if you have the video directly on your hard drive and you're in share screen, you may be able to do it that way.
Actually, I don't. I've actually only got it on this presentation, Cheryl. Maybe what we can do is, just while we try and fiddle with it, is just to perhaps maybe try and see if we can do, if there is any questions and answers.
Yeah, also if you have a link to it anywhere, you know, online or what have you, maybe you can kind of send us the link and one of us can, like Carrie or something, can maybe do it from her computer. I don't know. She could take over the share screen. We could get that inside. Terry's saying if you right click, does it give you the option to play that way?
So strange. I tested this last night and I didn't.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Zoom doesn't like the, you know, if there's just some kind of thing with Zoom versus the PowerPoint. That's why I was wondering if you could get out of the PowerPoint and try it that way, but I'm not sure.
I don't think that's the case because I think I tested it with someone last week with the video. Sonja, if you can email it to me, I can definitely try it, but I'm not sure that I'll be able to fix it either.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'll send it through to you, and then maybe, as you said, we can just put it up onto your with the rest of the presentations.
Yeah, so everybody, we're recording these webinars for anyone that couldn't make it today who want to watch it again. So we're going to be uploading them to our YouTube channel, and we'll send you the link to that. It's going to be a couple of days after the event, but we'll get those up on our YouTube video channel. And what we'll also do is if we can embed these in our website, we will. We do have an Africa area on our website and we'll embed those there. And we'll also get those up on the YouTube channel as well, so you can find them easily. They'll just be separate from the PowerPoint. And just as Sonja mentioned, we don't have a massive area on our website for Africa because everything we do is custom tailored to suit. That's length of stay, country, you know, a couple of different destinations, all diving, all safaris and culture, or a little bit of both, and all different budgets as well. So we have some samples to give you an idea to get you going, but most of it's going to be, we'll make some suggestions, and especially if you refer back to this website, there's this webinar, if there's anything that kind of hits the spot, we can use that as a starting point. I want to see rhinos, I want to see elephants, all that good stuff. We do have some questions and answer time. So Thor, if you want to, I've unmuted your microphone so you can ask Sonja yourself. You would just need to unmute yourself as well on your end. Thor, are you there? Gone awfully quiet. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I am. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Yeah, go ahead with your question, Thor.
So when is the season for the whale sharks in Mafia Island in Tanzania?
So our seasons were completely opposite to the US. Our summer season runs from around about October through to end of March, and with whale sharks, it's always within that summer period. So the better months is November, December, January. But any time within that October through to March period.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Denise, Denise Hefferman Stearns, you have a question about liveaboards in Seychelles. You're unmuted.
All right, I'm back. You hear me now?
Yep, we sure can.
Yes.
All right. So are there any liveaboards in the outer atolls of Seychelles?
So Blue Safaris, who own Stove, Cosmolido, and Alphonse Island, they do have a luxury yacht available. It is a smaller yacht. It's not the big liveaboards that you're used to, for example, like Egypt or Maldives and that. It is a smaller, very private yacht. If I remember correctly, it's obviously quite new. It's only been introduced sort of towards the end of last year. If I remember correctly, I think it sleeps 8 people, but yes, they do have. So you do have the option of spending a couple of nights maybe in Alphonse Island as you arrive with the plane, and then going onto that liveaboard to go and explore Cosmolido and Stove.
Okay. Is there a better time of year to go there?
Also summer, they are closed normally between June, from end of June, July and August. It does get quite windy, but pretty much all year round, except for those 2 months where they do get big winds.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure.
Does anybody else have any questions? You can pop it in the chat box. If you can see the option, you can also raise your hand, or you could just type something in the chat area. Different ways to let me know that you have a question, and we'll be glad to take your questions. We do have time.
I have one more question. This is Denise again.
Yes, Denise.
Okay, this question is, can you just quickly go through the pros and cons of Rwanda versus Uganda for a gorilla trek in particular?
Absolutely. So Uganda is a lot, Rwanda is a lot quicker because it's easier access to the national parks. So it's quicker, it's easier if you're limited with a time frame, and if you only want to go and do the gorillas, then Rwanda is the better option. But the permit is a lot higher.
Okay.
It's double the price. Uganda is, you just have to have a little bit more time because logistically you need a day to get down to the park. Whether you opt to fly or drive, you still have to spend the first night in Entebbe and then only get to the park the next day, and then you can only track on the 3rd day. So Uganda, you need a bit more time, but your permit is half the price. Also, Uganda has a lot to offer because of the chimps, because of the falls. They've got the Big 5 safari. We've got a client that comes out every 2 years. He brings a group, and they do 10 days in Uganda. Okay. So it is a country that does offer a lot, but it comes down to cost of the permit between the two, Rwanda being more expensive than Uganda, and Rwanda being easier access than Uganda.
I know that, sorry, I've heard or I've read that some gorilla trekking involves much more strenuous hiking. My husband is not in the best, I mean, he's in good shape, but he can't hike for hours and hours and hours.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is very important information at the time of booking, that we get that information through. At the time of buying the permit, we then make the park aware of it beforehand. Even if it's 6 months beforehand that we book it, we still make the park aware of it. You can book support staff. It literally is nothing. It is like $20 per person, and that tracker then only goes up with you. We've had disabled clients go up there, and we hired 2 porters. They carried him with this really amazing, typically African-made chair. He had the most phenomenal experience. But absolutely. So those kind of special needs we do cater for. You can easily do it. Also, when we do have clients like that, we do request the parks to try and give us gorilla families that are closer to the starting point, to not allocate as families that are hours and hours away for tracking.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Sonja, we have a question. Do you do anything, or can you tell us anything about Madagascar?
Yes, Madagascar is a very, very interesting country. It's a very large country. It is logistically quite difficult to cover a lot of the island in a short space of time because of the distance, and more so because of the roads. The roads, it's a third world country. The roads are atrocious. It really is long distance driving. Most of the programs that we do focus up in the north of Madagascar, within that Nosy B area. There's lots of Nosy different names, but there you do get some lovely liveaboards as well. There's some nice land-based stuff from the north. Also, the north is quite close enough to a lot of the parks. People going to Madagascar want to see the variety of chameleons. They want to obviously see all the different monkeys and all of that. And within that area, it's quite easily accessible to just stay up in that northern part of Madagascar. But we have had some groups that, you know, they really want to go to the famous Baobab Lane and all these amazing things that you see on National Geographic. We certainly can do those trips as long as people are aware that Madagascar is, it's still very, very much a third world country with not a lot of upper end infrastructure in place either. So you're going to get sort of good 3-star, entry-level 4-star hotels. Your 5-star hotels is mostly in the biggest cities and populated areas.
Thanks, Sonja. Gary, I'm going to unmute you in just a sec, but as we're starting to run out of time, I'm going to just ask the question so Sonja can get going, but I'll unmute you so you can kind of go back and forth with her. Gary is asking if you would talk a little bit about safety concerns and recommended vaccinations. And I know that varies depending on country.
Yes,
and Gary,
okay.
you're on now.
Okay, hi. So we used to have the yellow fever requirement injection. That now has been scrapped for most of the countries except if you're coming into Tanzania via, for example, Nairobi or Kenya, then you would require it. But if you're coming in on any of the airlines directly, let's say from South Africa, or you're flying from Dubai directly into Tanzania, then you don't require the yellow fever injection anymore. Obviously, Africa is a malaria continent. A lot of it from sort of the higher end of that Sodwana, Bay, Shishlui area that I was talking in South Africa, right up Mozambique, Tanzania, all of those are malaria areas. So malaria is definitely the only other requirement. So it's basically just those two. Yellow fever if you're flying in via another East Africa country, and then the malaria tablet. Safety.
And then they would require the yellow fever certification,
Correct. A safety point of view, always a good question. We obviously do have problems in South Africa, however, and I don't think I'm too wrong in saying that, because Cheryl's been here, Terry's been here a couple of times. Media do also blow things out of proportion a lot. We do take precaution. A lot of our crime do happen in Johannesburg and the bigger cities and all of that. Our programs that we do are not based around those big cities. We've been going since 2002, and I must say, touch wood, we've always been very, very fortunate in that the properties that we use, the programs that we use, the drivers that we use is all tailored around the safety aspect of our clients. You know, it's like me saying I'm going to go and book a guest house down in the Bronx. It's all about local knowledge, where you book, where you take your clients to. And as
absolutely.
I said,
part of Columbus I wouldn't drive through today either. So, you know.
Well, it's local knowledge. At the end of the day, it is local knowledge. But, you know, Cheryl's been, Terry's been several times, and I'm sure that it would be interesting to, you know, obviously hear their side of the story, because they won't keep coming back, and they certainly won't be sending clients here if there was a problem. But from our side, Africa Tour side, is that we are very strategic with the properties that we use, the routes that we use, etc.
Perfect. Thank you.
Pleasure.
We have a couple of questions. I'm going to gloss over them real quick, Megan and Colin, and just let you know they're kind of in a similar vein. What shots are required, visas, things like that. They do vary. I'm just going to answer that real quick because we do have some others waiting and we're kind of running out of time. But, you know, as far as visas and shots and things like that, those do vary. We will help you because those things change all the time, and especially in this climate, we've had some countries change their visa requirements like overnight. So when it comes to those visas and things, depending on the country and where you're coming from, or if you've got a couple of different countries you're hitting on your trip, those will vary, as will shots. And as those change as well, as we talk to you about various countries and itineraries that you're considering, we will give you the most up-to-date information that we have and how to obtain a visa and all that good stuff if you need them. So yes, for some countries you do, but they do vary, but we will assist you and guide you and also keep you up to date as those things change, if they change. Brant has had his hand up for a while. So Brant, I'm patching you in right now if you want to go ahead. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry, Brant, you're still muted. Bear with me. Okay, Brant, sorry, you should be able to go now.
We're good now? Okay. Yeah. The diving in Malawi with the cichlids, what else is there in the water there?
You do get your other types of freshwater fish in that as well, but it's basically just those. I don't know if you saw that picture with the big boulders. There isn't really that much else in the lake. It's pretty much just those fish and the normal other freshwater fish in that. It's not, as I said, a lot of people come there specifically just to tick off those on the bucket list. It's not a destination where you can even go and do 6 or 7 or 8 dives unless you're specifically interested just in that specific species of fish.
What else in that general area would be of interest to see?
Your big 5 safaris, obviously within the lake, that lake then tapers down into the river down at the bottom. Unbelievable crocodile sightings. Literally every 2 meters has a massive crocodile. Abundance of hippos, which often on the normal South African safaris and even in Zambia, and that you don't always get to see the hippos and the crocodiles and that. And that specific area in Malawi, it is prolific. Loads of elephants as well, big elephant herds. So very much your safari and then going onto the lake and cultural aspect of it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
We're pretty much out of time there, Sonja. One thing I will say is that we had been asked about, Terry was recently out there with you in South Africa, and she did a lot of conservation exploring, the pangolins, the elephants, the wild dogs. We've been asked to talk about that a little bit more. However, obviously, that's a lot involved there. So what I will say to everyone is diving or not, even if you don't even touch your toes in the water, you know, we're all at Deep Blue massively into the conservation side of things. Africa has got a heart. I mean, me and my family went out to Tanzania for 17 days, and it's the first time in many years I didn't even take dive gear. I mean, we literally just immersed ourselves in culture and the topside animals, and it was incredible. Now there's also, Sonja is working very hard to open up different and more unique and less explored areas. We definitely do the the sardine run, we can do the migration, some amazing things like that that are mind-blowing. However, some of the more off the beaten path stuff and interesting stuff too, and a lot of conservation work. So that's why Terry went out there a while ago and was doing things with the pangolins, wild dogs, all kinds of stuff. I was almost ready to go myself before COVID to go explore the whole rhino conservation effort where you're working side by side with veterinarians, and it's definitely something that once this is all behind us, I'll be going out to look and explore. And if anybody wants to be a guinea pig with me, then feel free to email me at Cheryl@Deep Blue, because we'd be happy to take a few people out there and have this experience. Terry has got a lot of information on her Facebook, Terry, Terri, at deepblueadventures.com, or you can contact her. Also with this, we had such an overwhelming response to the entire event that we're going to continue while we're all still stuck at home, and maybe beyond as well. We're going to be continuing with these webinars and special guests and things like that. So I'm going to ask Sonja to come back and talk about a lot of the conservation type of trips that you can get involved in, either purely focused on conservation or mixing it in with a little bit of wine and safaris and fun as well. If you specifically want to reach out to us, you're welcome to, but unless you don't want it, Zoom will give us, everybody that's been here's emails, and we will reach out to you and let you know when Sonja's going to be chatting again. If you're watching this as a recording, then you will need to email us, info@deepblueadventures.com, if you want to hear more about upcoming webinars. Sonja, I do want to thank you. I'm sorry. I know we could sit here literally all day and just talk about Africa. At least I could. So I really appreciate your time and your coming. And everybody will let you know about the videos that Sonja had as soon as we can.